So, guys, what's going on? So, here is a store. So, I'm up in Mystic, Connecticut, and I go into this store called Arisu. It's a Japanese store. I guess the best way to put it. It's a Japanese store that sells all sorts of, figures and dolls and Japanese food, things like that. And they have these three Mame machines, and they kind of have them in the back. They're on free play. They don't charge you anything. And the person who owns the store, who runs the store, says that he built these machines for the customer to play. I don't think they're part of Arisu, because there's another Arisu that's in a different part of Connecticut, in Fairfield, Connecticut. And this, he built it for the customers, which I thought was great. And this is such a beautiful main type of machine. It has almost every system that you can think of. I think right up to either PlayStation 1 or 2 that these machines were kind of loaded with. And everything worked perfectly with these machines. There was no lag. There was no hit the button and then it happens a second later. And he was telling me how I think one of these machines runs on a laptop, another machine runs on like an old PC, and I don't know if he said one runs on like a Raspberry Pi, but he was, just showing me everything in these machines. There has to be at least, I don't know, there's thousands of games in here. I don't know the exact number, but thousands of games. What I found most interesting was it had systems in there that were like the Apple, the Apple II, like old computer games that you used to play on the computer when you were like in elementary school before they had even Windows. And that's what I liked. You went to the Apple or the Apple II game system, and it had all those old school Apple games where you would have to do like math problems in order to complete or win the game. And I thought that was great. And it had, everything else with, Nintendo and Sega and all that type of stuff. Very, very cool. And people were playing these. So he had three machines, and at one point all three machines were taken up. And then what I thought was really good is when you went into like the Mame or the arcade part of the game, because you could go in and out of the different systems, but then there was just arcade, which was just like every arcade game, and people were on there, and they were playing like the old school Double Dragon and the what was the other game? There was not Dig Dug, Mr. Do, all those old games, the old Mame, the games from like the 80s and the 90s in the arcade. All of them were working fabulous. I said, I said, you got to give me a copy. I was asking the guy for a copy. I said, you got to burn me a copy of whatever's in there, inside this thing. And he said, yeah, come back, this and that. I wound up buying some. They had like these gums, these Japanese gums. I don't know if they're called Haichus. They had the Japanese sodas that you kind of have to pop. They have like the marble, and they had these other kind of like Japanese candies and Japanese type snacks in the store. But of course, I was just hanging around this section of the store, and it was cool. If these things are great, if you have a store, and you may actually, if I had one of these machines, I probably wouldn't have these many games. What happens is that people were going through it took them so long just to go through each system, each game, because people are fascinated to see, all these games of things that they played from when they were younger. I like these. I think if I had a store, like if I had a brick and mortar type of store, and I had one of these in my store, I probably wouldn't have the thousands of games. I'd probably make one of these and probably maybe put like 10 or 20 games. That's what I'm thinking, because a lot of the time the people were taking so long just to look through the system and then the games in the system, and that took most of the time. And then you have people that were looking, that wanted to play. So to me, I would probably put 2 or 3 systems, or I would just put, maybe the top games, like an old school Super Mario Brothers, I don't know, whatever the top 10, Nintendo games were. And then the people can go through those 10 games, something like that, because that would probably make it simple. People get on, they play, they go. But fantastic system. I love these systems. This is something I keep saying I want one of these systems. On my desktop PC that sits on that I do my office work at, I have a DVD-ROM. I don't know how this thing has to be 10 years old. And it basically is just Mame arcade. So it has basically 3,000 old school arcade games from the 80s and the 90s. And that's what I have. This kind of has everything. I love it. From the Genesis to the Super Nintendo, and then all different other, the Ataris, everything. It's very, very cool. But that's it. This is something I like. I figured I'd share this. I need to see more of this. I love all this, especially when you could get all these old school games, the Ataris and the Apples, just even Game Boy, man. Game Boy was my system. I love Game Boy. But that is it. All right. If you know anything more about this system, please leave a comment below, because I love to read your comments. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe. God bless you guys, and I will talk to you guys later.